last one was on like the Wii in like 2010 or like 2011. And then everything just went to the mobile space. Because that's the funny thing, like, mobile phones kind of killed the licensed game.
Yes.
Which is, you know, part of the reason people popped off at, like, Multiverses and the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, because not only were these games, like, licensed games, and they were potentially actually good, but then Multiverses had to be bungled by stupid business decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Shame too.
Basically.
Shame too, because I'm the type of person that will always find it funny to say Bugs Bunny has juggle combos.
Gotta roll.
Trying.
Okay, no, roll is just... Okay, no, roll is just...
Ah, damn it. Well, actually, I say damn it, but hey, I was able to get the mupper out of it, so again, I would honestly take...
Okay, no, the roll is just...
Yes, I know there was a gong there. Damn it. I know there was a gong there. I will try to get to it in a minute.
Okay, no, we have to determine. The roll is just God tier.
I have to murder first. Though, because of the cliff, I'm actually not going to use the roll as much right here.
Well, you knocked them off, which is funny, because it's not going to spawn enemies because they're not dead. But then you could break it. Yeah. Oh, you got it anyway. Sweet.
I was close enough to the enemy dying. I'm pretty sure that's why that worked.
Spawn radius. Spawn radius.
So, while, you know, Multiverses is fucking dead, the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 is happening, and it's like, I guess it's nice that they were actually able to pick the pieces up and make a good game. You see, this is what happens when you give them a higher budget than a lot of $5 bills in a paper bag. Remember, that game didn't have voice acting initially. You didn't even have grunts. The characters were oddly silent. Even the pantomime Lego games at least had grunts.
Yeah, that's... And Multiverses was cool because people made a joke. It's like, oh, you have, like, you know, all the Warner Brothers money.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you kind of do nothing with that. Because the problem with Multiverses, as a lot of people pointed out, Multiverses...
I'm going to be that guy because of both of them failing and the, like, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. A lot of, I would say a lot of the marketing is focused on fixing this, but they haven't covered it yet because they've been showing off, like, the new characters and shit, but they have stated that it would have a, like, bigger single-player mode than the first game had. I'm going to be that guy. What ruined both of these games is they tried to focus too much on competitive. They tried to be an esport first and a game second.
And
in the case of Multiverses, we also have the bad, terrible badness that... God damn it, camera. We also have the bad, terrible badness that is live service.
I was about to say live service freemium game.
Yeah.
Because the problem is...
Okay, now gotta get turned around. I think this is the direction I was going.
Because...
Yeah.
Here's the thing about fucking Multiverses. That is the biggest problem. I'm actually going to... You gotta go the...
I couldn't tell if I... It all kind of looks the same. I couldn't tell if I got turned around or not.
Gotta keep going this way, because you fell off the top. Yeah, just follow snacks. Okay. Yeah. What I was trying to say with Multiverses, because this is the biggest problem with Multiverses, they had this idea of doing a Warner Brothers and, like, wider Cartoon Network themed fighter. Yeah, knockdown is just disgusting. They had this idea of doing a platform fighter that was very similar to Smash, but you did a live service freemium game.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is, in a live service freemium game, your entire money-making strategy comes from people buying the live service freemium shit, which is usually character skins.
Yeah.
And the issue is, the game is free, meaning if no one is buying stuff, you don't have money, and the developers that were working on the game straight out said that because they didn't really have a lot of money, that development kind of had to slow down because a lot of people were tired of live service stuff. Versus what everyone had said this game should have been, which is what I agree with. Imagine literally Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with Warner Brothers.
Yeah. But that's also then when I'm going to... Yeah. But then that's when I'm also going to be that guy and say, remember, Ultimate was like the 5th game. You kind of can't do, even with Warner Brothers Infinite money, because remember, they got the actual for realsies live action actor to play, like, to voice her character from Game of Thrones, so, you know, they didn't just get all the voice actors they could, they even got the...
Yes, but we could use...
My point, basically, was it's one of those, like, remember, Ultimate was, like, the 5th game in a series that was basically, effectively, 25 years of developments and innovation sort of all rolled together. You can't do something like that as a first attempt with Warner Brothers money.
You could at least do something more akin to, like, Brawl. I'm not saying...
Yeah, I would say something along the, like, size of Brawl or Melee. Those, I think, would be a bit more reasonable to do. Because the other problem with the whole freemium thing is it had, you know, this, and this is why no one was, basically paying for anything because they use a season pass format. It's one of those, well, the, like, rewards of this season pass aren't any characters I play. I guess I'm skipping it.
Yes. Versus just taking the foundation of Smash Brothers and making a fighting game.
That's also why, even outside of the live service thing, the reason I say they tried to be an esport, also killed the game, is because to make themselves different from Smash, they had a, like, focus on 2v2, and it's one of those, yeah, that's a unique, like, that's a neat idea and stuff, and I'm sure if you actually have footage of it being like a 4-player match because it's a 2v2 and like both teams are...
Red Ninja taking a couple of hits.
And both teams are like super coordinated. I'm sure that is a spectacle on some form, but the problem with that is, one, in terms of Wi-Fi, that essentially means that, you know, you have 4 like stable connections all rolling with each other, and like that can create some problems. But even outside of that, that means this, like, the normal game mode here basically is still out. The normal game mode here, because the teams...
You need 32 more, mother.
Yeah. Because the teams were the default, it's essentially a thing of like, well, I'm sure this is neat and stuff when you're actually able to get it going. This basically, again, means you effectively need a partner at, like, all times if you want to play the game quote-unquote as intended, because of how a bunch of characters had skills and stuff that would actually have, like, special effects in doubles. Like, who was the character where they had a, like, basically chain a grab move where they would use a, like, extending grab that could actually be used?
You could actually get the 32 pretty easy.
Perfect.
13, 22.
Damn it. The buttons that advance forward are my kill things buttons.
30, 30, 39.
I'm going to wait for this thing to spit out as many enemies as it can. before breaking it. Damn it.
68, 78. Oh, booyah. My point!
Honestly, a bit. Oh, seems like it was less. Okay. The point essentially is, I feel like in the live service and them trying to be an esport, because the reason that, like, it had a factor, one, not only was the game very complex, but again, to technically get sort of the full, like, experience of the game, a lot of characters were designed for, like, doubles and shit, and they actually had characters sort of designed to effectively be support characters. So
there was a whole support class of team. There was a whole support class in that game of characters that have empowering moves, where in the doubles...
Like I said, I can't remember what character it was. Someone they basically had, their recovery was like a tether or grab, except it also actually had a like, effect of being able to, like, pull your a partner and save them, and that's... You know, and that's one of those... That's an interesting idea, but... Again, that means you basically always have to have a partner, meaning you always effectively need 4 stable internet connections, and you need to be coordinated with the person you on here now. Like, damn it! Now, like I was saying, all recording when you were in the bath, you can get like upgrades for the costumes. The upgrade for this, you don't get the dive kick, which is bad for, again, I guess, speed running, because you can't do the movement thing. But the shockwave is infinitely better as an attack, because with it being a shockwave, you can actually stay somewhat away from things, and if you stay somewhat away from things, well, one, it's way more powerful, as you can see with that one-shotting.
Everybody!
Yeah.
If not one shot, 2 tap.
Yeah.
My point! What I was trying to say that I didn't say, if they had focused...
If they had focused down and just made a game instead of trying to be a, like, constantly updating and evolving live service esport.
Because, like, my whole thing, the esport isn't even inherently, you know, the full fucking problem. The problem is that you're focusing entirely on multiplayer.
Yeah, and that's where the esport thing, and that's, I guess, a better way to put it was that mattering is it's one of those, was the heavy focus on, like, esports and teams and shit. This game has no single-player content. You don't even have a, like, bare-ass arcade mode, if I remember correctly. So the game has, like, no single-player content to it, so... you know, it's one of those, like, once the servers and shit
Imagine with Warner Brothers money, because this wouldn't have been that hard to do. Smaller cast of characters in a story mode that plays like, Brawl's story mode. So it's a single-player mode.
If I remember correctly, because of some descriptions on the game's website and shit, and I think a few text files people found in the game's code, it seems like the developers actually did plan to do something like that at some point. An idea like that seems to have actually been on the table at some point, but because of the game's sluggish reputation and shit, and, like, you know, sluggish, like, basically player retention, it ultimately...
That would have been really fucking cool. And then you could have...
because it, like, you know, it's one of those, if you remember, because memes, Shaggy basically was Ultra Instinct Shaggy in that game, and I think the, like, description on the website or something said something out of, like, the strange force bringing all these worlds together seems to have, like, been the reason Shaggy had those powers in the first place, or something like that. So that seems to have been an idea at some point.
The other thing that could have came out of that is, and here's a big one, you could have then literally copied Smash and done, first of all, you're charging money for the game, so you'd make money. Then you could have justified, if your game wasn't half-assed, DLC that doesn't feel like... missed a clue, found all the ingredients, missed the trap piece.
Again, I will go back later. I remember a few things you needing later upgrades anyway, so...
You could have basically made...
For UV lamps. This could explain the strange light coming from the dragon's eyes. This is a menu for a neighborhood restaurant. Maybe Zentuo's hideout is there.
You could have easily had Smash, but Warner Brothers stuff, done a smaller cast, and if your game wasn't half-assed enough, people would have justified DLC as an extension instead of just money-grabbing nonsense. But instead, we live in the reality where that, like, gaudy, gold-colored Superman was like $20.
Yes.
What?
Yes. Also...
You're right,
What?
Kovon said the dragon had strange eyes. I'm pretty sure that's not the answer. Kovon said the dragon had strange eyes. I wonder what he meant. Good answer.
Okay, I couldn't remember for a minute. I thought for a second, I was like, wait, do I not have the fucking, a clue you need, to solve this? I was like, wait, no, I know a soft, lock, but, no.
We solved the mystery.
Okay,
Look, it's Zentuo. So, you thought you could defeat Zentuo?
My point is, you had, like...
yes, you had potential.
It's time for the question of the day and my overall thoughts on the topic. So anyway, how many of you also wish that Multiverses was essentially a Smash Brothers clone that used Warner Brothers characters? I really do think they could have made an amazing game with that premise. And, like we said, I'm not asking for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. You could have easily copied Melee or Brawl and been fine. And I really do think the biggest problem with Multiverses was the fact that they did not create a traditional video game. If they had copied Smash and released a video game, they could have easily garnered a lot of attention, even if the game lacked single player, as long as the multiplayer was good and the game felt complete. People would not have complained as much, but instead they decided to go down the road of season passes and microtransactions and other dumb, frivolous mobile game bullshit. And we're in a world now where live service games are essentially frowned upon because they are greedy and oversaturated. And yet, it really does seem like an executive thought that a live service game with Warner Brothers characters would make you all the money ever, but they never realized that people are starting to hate live service games. So this amazing concept was essentially ruined by corporate greed. I am convinced of this, but anyway, you can leave your thoughts, opinions, and answers in the comments, or you can leave them all on social media. All of my social media links, as well as my Discord links, are in the video description. Now, as always, I need to be a shill for a minute. If you subscribe to the channel, and if you follow me on social media, that really helps our communities grow. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope I will see you all next time. So as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, everybody. I hope you come back someday. See you later.